How you going, guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Today's job, we've got something a little bit different. We have a auger drive or a power head in for repair that's come off a 5-ton excavator. So essentially what a power head or an auger drive is a hydraulic motor that goes through a gearbox that then creates rotational torque and power for drilling or piling. So this isn't something we normally do because all of our customers have mining equipment and don't own machines this small, but this is for a mate of mine and I do have a little bit to do, so let's get onto it. So the reason this came in for repair, there is a leaking oil seal at the bottom of the power head that goes around the output shaft, but I do have a sneaking suspicion we are going to find wear on the output shaft where the seal runs. But in order to get to that, I need to pretty much disassemble the entire head, but the first thing I need to do is try and remove this seized pin. So I'm not going to waste any time trying to remove that pin nicely. It is just a piece of precision ground material and it's cheap and easy to replace that, so I'm just going to cut this with the Oxy. Now with the pin cut, we're going to get the head bracket out of the way and we'll deal with that seized pin later on. The next thing I'm going to do is remove these hoses. So the hoses have got their outer sheave worn all the way through and my mate is going to replace it. Next thing I'm going to do is undo these bolts and that will allow me to remove the gearbox from the housing. Impact. So the gearbox is out, but that's not all for the housing. We still need to do some crack repairs on that. But what I need to do first is disassemble the motor and the gearbox so we can get to those seals. So before I undo the bolts to remove the motor, I'm just going to go around these faces with a wire wheel to try and remove as much dirt as possible, so when I lift the motor off, I don't contaminate the gearbox.
More power. Oh no. Ooh.
So that oil does look pretty milky. That's because there's water in it, and there is a little bit of debris in there, and that could have got in there a number of different ways. For example, when it's plugged onto the machine, there could have been dirt or moisture trapped in the hydraulic lines, and then when it's used, it pumps it into the head. Righto, now that I've got that apart, I can see this is not a typical power head with a planetary system like I have worked on in the past. What they've actually used is a rotary piston motor. These are quite powerful, they're small and they are compact, which makes sense as to why they would use them on a smaller excavator.
Ooh.
So on the top and the bottom of the output shaft, there are needle roller bearings, and they are used as a thrust bearing. They're not damaged in any way, they're just going to need a good clean and we'll be able to use them again.
Okay.
Dig it out.
Whoa, it's got a spring in it. Oh, look at it falling to pieces.
So we can definitely see why it was leaking. That seal is deteriorated and starting to break apart, so we will definitely need to replace that. So this seals the bottom of the motor to the top of the output shaft. There is a little bit of wear on this. The profile of this seal is very unusual. You don't see these every day. So we'll have to see if we can get one from our seal supplier. If not, we'll have to go back to the genuine manufacturer. So this O-ring is actually not damaged in any way, but over time rubber does deteriorate, so it is good practice to just replace them. So as I suspected, we do have wear on the output shaft on the sealing area. It is about 0.3 of a mil undersized compared to everything else. But I have spoken to my mate and he doesn't really want to put too much money into it because he doesn't use it very often. Oh yeah, not too bad. Probably better than you're about to be. It's not mate. What you've got is you've got wear on where the seal goes on the bottom of the output shaft. So up to you what you want to do. How often do you plan to use this? So what I suggested is we try and find a seal with an undersized ID, then we can machine down the worn area on the output shaft and that will give the seal a perfect surface to run on. So I've got Troy chasing up the new seals. What we're going to get onto next is removing the pin out of the head bracket. Righto, so we've run into another setback. That pin is really seized in there. I did end up getting it to move about 5 mil, but what I'm going to do now is get it set up in the press and hopefully we can press it out. Oh, that was nice and easy. This comes down from simple things called grease. So we did manage to get that out. It did take a fair bit of pressure to get that to move, but once it started, just kept on going. Now it's out, we can get on to fixing up the cracks that are in that shroud. So we got a crack there that we need to repair. I'm also going to weld around the bosses on the inside and the outside. So I'm welding on the inside faces just to add a little bit of extra strength, and I'll also do 2 weld passes on the outside for the same reason. So that's all the welding done. That was nice, quick and easy. We're going to let this cool down, and we also need to wait for our new seals to arrive and our piece of material so we can make our pin before we can start reassembling.
What's this? Hey, sit. Nom, 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 nom. Oh my god. Oh, chicken.
Come on.
Let's go.
Righto guys, so it's actually been a couple of days since we disassembled the power head. We were unable to get a seal directly off the shelf or one from the OEM, so we did have to get one custom made, but now we can get on to machining down the output shaft to suit our new seal. Righto, so we've got that dialed in and we're ready to start machining. We're not doing a metal arc spray repair on this, although it is an option. Our setup is not really designed to repair such a small worn area. And to add to the trickiness, there is also an oil port and we don't want to put any material down there. So our customer has opted just to turn down the worn area, which is going to be quicker and more cost effective. So the finished diameter I'm chasing is 69mm, and that is to suit the ID of the new seal. We only have about 0.5 of a mil to remove off the diameter, so I'm going to use a TNGG insert and take it very steady, because if I overcut this, I'll have to wait another 3 days for another seal. We're going to start with taking 0.1 of a mil off the diameter, which is 0.05 mil depth of cut, and see if it cleans up so we can get a measurement. That didn't clean up, so I'm going to take another 0.1 of a mil off the diameter. So I've taken our measurement, we have 0.35 of a mil to remove, so I'm going to go in with a 0.1 of a mil depth of cut, which is 0.2 overall. So that material is pretty hard. I've just chipped the insert, so I'm just going to turn that to a fresh tip. And I'm going to take a spring cut so we can get a new zero and a new measurement. So we've taken our final measurement and we have 0.12 of a mil to remove off the diameter. So we've got that to 69.005. I'm happy with that. We're just going to leave it there. Now with that done, before we reassemble it, we're going to make our new pin. So this pin is nice, quick and easy. All I need to do is part the material to length, chamfer each end and drill the holes for the bolts. Now with the pin done, we can get on to reassembly. Because we've had the seal custom made and there are tolerances we have to work within, we've had to go with a nylon backup ring with a rotational pressure seal on top. This will be as good, if not better, than the original seal design, and considering our customer doesn't use this very often, it'll probably outlast his working career.
It's, yeah.
So in order to pull that seal into place without damaging it, I am going to use 2 bolts 180 degrees out from each other, and I'm going to tighten them up evenly until we get it into place.
That sound right?
Oh, fine. Just going past the nylon. Now that I've got that seated, we're going to bolt it up, but I'm going to apply anti-seize to all the bolts before I do it. With all that bolted up, we're going to fit the power head back into the housing. Next thing we're going to do is refit the hitch with our new pin. Last thing we need to do is refit the head bracket. Righto guys, so that's this job done for a couple of hours work, a piece of material and about $200 in seals. My mate's going to be really happy to get this back and put it back to work. But that's it for this job. Thanks for watching.
Cute. Try not to say is there is.
So the reason this came in for repair is there is a leak. What? So we can see why that seal was leaking. It is very badly deteriorated, and that's... So we're not doing a metal arc spray repair on this, although that is an option. Our machine, that didn't clean up, so I'm going to take another 0.1 of a mil. Now that I've got that seated, that is just a... So this seals the top of the motor. Oh fuck me. Fucking help. No. Wait.
Oh my god.
Can you put the camera down, please? You're gonna cry?
Oh. Whoops. You're just gonna cut it out. Stop. It's just gonna... Stop! Homie, what's this? Look! Wait, hello!
Homeless.
Homeless. Clean up your mess. Homeless. Homeless.
Homie.
Homeless. Look, what's this? Look, there! Oh my god.
No.